Welcome to the AI Central Podcast, brought to you by Human Driven AI. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We have a very exciting episode today as we are joined by SEO expert and my friend Winston Burton. Winston, Happy New Year. Happy birthday. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. Happy New Year to you as well. It's always a great pleasure to, spend some time with, past coworkers. Glad that, AI Central is going well. Love to see the trajectory, over the last year plus. And I must say, I'm very proud.
Yay. Thank you so much. That makes me feel good. I appreciate it.
I see you all the time on LinkedIn, so
Oh,
you're
yeah.
always, going somewhere, speaking somewhere. That's great. You're definitely one of the thought leaders in the space, and I'm glad to, I had the pleasure of working with you at Acronym. So, I just love to see the growth of you and your company. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we're having a blast. It is incredible, everything that is changing.
Oh, absolutely.
And nowhere more than search, which is why you are the best first guest of the year. So I'm
All
very,
right.
very excited to have you. So I know, obviously, let's just start here. Search behavior is changing. More and more people are searching in AI models like ChatGPT or Perplexity and kind of moving away from Google a little bit. I know I'm seeing that in my own behavior as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, traditional SEO, of course, was built on the the backbone of keywords. And AI is able to kind of look beyond the keywords and find the intent behind the actual search query or question that you put into, say, ChatGPT. So when it comes to search today, are keywords as important as they used to be, or are they changing? What's the scoop there?
Yeah, so it's definitely changed. I mean, we're really looking at topics, right? We're looking at topics that are related to the actual general theme of, what you're trying to go after. For an example, if you're in a car dealership, right, your topic's going to be automotive, right? Automotive, I mean, it is kind of keyword based in a sense, right? You
Mhm.
definitely still want to do keyword research, but it's really geared towards topics and what's related to those actual topics, right? So it's definitely changed in that intent, right? You hit the word right on the head, right? Intent, right? And that's really what it is, right? As we progress with SEO, what's happening now, as you see with all the search engines and all the AI incorporated into it, Gemini, Perplexity, etc. Everybody's incorporating AI into their algorithm, right?
Right.
Some are good, in my opinion. Some are, yeah, so the data debatable, right? But it's growing, right? And I know later we'll talk about AI agents and things like that, but it's really hard to keep up, right? It's sort of
Yeah.
like the wild, wild west right now. People know, okay, what's particularly coming, but really nobody knows 100% for sure how to optimize for it.
Right. Right. It's true. I mean, I have been using a lot of conversational content to optimize in search,
Absolutely.
transcripts, FAQs, Q&As, anything that is conversational and also helps the AI model kind of get to that answer quickly. And I've seen good results. I've had 2 clients in the past 3 months find me through ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's
I've
awesome.
seen my site traffic is now increasing from both ChatGPT and Perplexity. So it's starting to work, but I'm wondering, what else can we do? Can we structure our data differently? Is it impacting schema markups? What can we do to get found in these AI models?
So the first thing is you already kind of alluded it to it, right? It's all about conversation. You want to have
Yay.
conversational type of content. So you're doing the right thing, right? You also want to make sure that your content is actually open up to all the LLMs. And there's a text file that you could add to your site that actually helps, LLM say, okay, this is a content that I want you to crawl. This is a content that I don't want you to crawl. It's very similar to a robots.txt file. Basically, will tell the
Oh,
search engines, I don't want you to crawl this. I don't want anybody to see it. But it's very similar to that. So, definitely make sure that all the content that you want the LLMs to see, you definitely have that set up appropriately. So that way, you could definitely see that, right? And do your research, right? What are people talking about, right?
yeah.
What do they come to your website for? And at the end of the day, you want to make sure you're answering all those questions and being relevant for those specific topics and queries that people actually come to your website for, right? So That's why keyword research, in a way, if you want to still call it that, topic research, whatever you want to call it these days, is really still important in my opinion, right? Because again, you want to definitely do your research and see, okay, why did somebody come to your website, right? And
Yeah.
I think in my experience, you got to stop thinking about SEO as a one channel. It's marketing now, right?
Yes.
We tend to look at it as search engine everywhere. Your user base is not just living in Google, right? It's a different world right now, right? You got to be living in TikTok,
Yep.
right? From a video
Yep.
perspective, right? You got to be living on Instagram, Facebook, all those social networks, right? Are It's particularly important. Right now, what's happening in the industry is that if you're doing SEO in a vacuum, right, and you're not incorporating Reddit, right? Reddit shows up for I don't care what query it is. Reddit
Yeah.
shows up. They have a partnership with Google. They're showing up for every single query, right? So
Yes.
if you're not working with your social team, right, and not, I think Reddit ads is a definitely, and I'm actually looking into that right now. Reddit ads is a great way to build brand. It's all about brand building now, right? And SEO is an overall part of that, right? It's about integrated marketing now, right? So if you're not taking advantage of Quora, you're not taking advantage of Reddit, you're not taking advantage of where your users are living, you're
Mm-hmm.
living in 2000, right? You're going to be lost. So, that's one of the biggest things, and definitely check out all the AI search engines, right?
Yeah.
Perplexity is definitely a great one. I love that it gives the summaries and it also gives the links of where the information is coming from, right? Which is great.
Yeah. Sorry, my phone just dinged really big. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
No, I agree. And it's interesting that you say the importance of like Reddit and Facebook and all these social platforms because we are seeing people leaving a lot of
Oh
these
yeah,
platforms because of the loss of, content moderation and fact checking and all of that. I am interested to see how that is going to impact future AI models. We're kind of getting off topic of SEO here, but I just find it fascinating because all of these models train on the internet. The types of conversational content that you get on Reddit or Facebook or, any of these social platforms, it's like catnip, in my opinion,
yeah,
to these AI models. And so as these social platforms become filled with misinformation and become filled with, let's face it, hate speech and a lot of the stuff that we're going to start seeing.
yeah. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It really is.
How can brands be on these platforms in order to optimize for AI search, but how can they deal with some of the misinformation as well? I mean, if you're talking about topics and intent, is that misinformation going to rise in results?
So, in my opinion, I'm always a firm believer in creating content that's really going to be accurate, is going to be engaging, and it's going to
Yeah.
be informative, right? And that's sort of the content that I'm seeing that's rewarded in Google these days.
Okay, so it's still
Google
on
has,
quality.
it's still about quality, it's still
Okay.
about originality, it's still about, content that's really going to be enticing and really helpful from an end user perspective, right? Google just launched the August core update. They did one back, I believe, in November or December as well. So they're constantly putting out updates to kind of combat this kind of stuff, right? If you
Good.
have poor quality content that's just taken from, AI, you don't change it, you don't make it original, there's really no factual information in it, it's really not going to be ranking well, right? I'll give you actually a testament of mine, right? I had a personal site of mine. I just put it up. It was in the entertainment space, and I was just trying to get the content up. I just put it up and just wrote it ChatGPT, put in a couple prompt, took the content. I really didn't have time to edit it, right?
Mhm.
When that first helpful content update come out, I kid you not, I've been doing SEO for over 20 years. I've never been hit by an algorithm update. It was like a plane, and I hate to say this, going to crash, right? My traffic just went boom. And I
Oh,
said, what the heck? I've never experienced anything like this. So what I did was I went through, right? I took all my content that was AI generated, right? Again, I didn't change a word, right? It was basically an experiment just to get things up, right?
right.
I took it down. I wrote human original content with facts, with grammar, with actually links back to authoritative resource, right?
Yes.
And what happened was over time, when the next core algorithm update come out, I got my traffic back,
Ah,
right? and it was great. And I always tell people, like, listen, the short and easy way of getting things done is really not the best way, right?
Yeah.
You really want to still make sure you're focusing on quality, right? And you're focusing on engaging content that's really going to be helpful from an end user perspective.
Yeah, and you hit the thing on the head there with you have to have the human writing it. There's nothing
Absolutely.
wrong with using AI to come up with ideas, to help
Exactly.
you analyze what topics, like you said, what topics are trending, what topics are performing in my own social and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But you have to write it yourself.
Absolutely.
We talked about this last time you were on too, that AI should create your first draft, not your final draft.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's a big time saver, right? I mean, it will get you, in my opinion, maybe 50% the way there, but it's not going to get you 100%, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, you got to edit it, you got to make it your own, you got to make it useful, etc. And,
Yeah.
in my opinion, if you're still doing that, hey, you're gonna get punished by Google. But again, you got to stop thinking outside your Google hat for a minute, search engine everywhere, right? So, for short form content, which, a lot of social posts are kind of short form-ish. Again, it depends on your intent, what you're trying to do, right? But
Sure.
it's a video, 30-second videos, YouTube Shorts, the way to go, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion, some of the AI tools that are out there now, they're okay. I'm sure you've seen ads from a company called InVideo.
Yeah, I use InVideo. You don't like it?
It's okay, right?
Oh,
I
tell me
like it.
why.
But the quality of a first draft, and that's why prompting is so important, right? If you do not put in the right prompts,
Yeah.
you're not going to get the right output, right? So
Yeah.
when I first tested it out and I just want to see what it's going to do based upon a simple command, right?
Right.
And it was okay, right? The reason why I say it's okay is because I didn't really give it too much information. It was a test for me to see, okay, what is it going to do, right? Because, and again, I know we're talking about AI agents later on, but
Yeah.
this is the way that AI agents is going, right? It's growing, and the industry is talking about, okay, AI agents going to be self-replicating, right? They're going to be able to complete tasks for you, right? So
Right. They already
if it's an
can.
AI, exactly, it already can, right? You sent me a link of what OpenAI is doing. I'm like, wow, this stuff is like it's just insane, right?
Yeah.
Soon these models are going to be able to think for you, right? And they're going to be able to just do things without you actually having to think about it, right? And that's
Yeah.
actually pretty scary. If I was somebody who was working for somebody right now, I would be a little bit nervous about my job, right? Because again, these language models are learning so fast, and then they could do tasks that the actual human can do, and they could do it at a fraction of a second. That's going to take us hours, if not days, or even months to complete.
Yeah. I really do want to talk about AI agents, but real quick to go back to NVIDIA, I agree with you. It's all about the prompt.
Yes, absolutely.
Um, what I do is I just write out the full script. I give it the
Yes,
full direction. I actually have a voice clone on NVIDIA, and
nice.
that's part of why I like it. So my
Yeah,
little
no, no, that
YouTube
feature is
shorts
great.
and yeah, all
What do
that
you think
how
about
to.
the imagery?
Yeah, the
What do you put
imagery,
your
I'm
own images
almost
in?
always having to go back and replace
Yes,
it with
that
something else.
that was my major problem with it, right? The
Yeah.
stock imagery that came out of that, and that's why I said it's okay, right?
Yeah.
Again, you can't expect AI to be the end all be all that's going to just
No.
take the work out of work. It's not, right? We said this time and time again, right? It's going to get you to a point, right? And it does that, like you said, building out a template, right?
Yes.
Building out that prompt script and giving it, the more information that you feed it and you give it, the better, right?
Yeah.
But
With
the
all these
imagery is not that
models.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it all
exactly.
comes down to understanding how to talk to each individual model because the way I will script a video within InVideo is very different than the way I script it within HeyGen. But
Exactly.
I make sure that I am scripting it, that I am straight up directing it, talking not just the narration and the voiceover, but I tell it what type of image to find. And to your point,
Exactly.
I still have to go back and say, well, that is in no way connected to what I'm like, I don't even know where they got that image. So I'm having to
Yeah.
switch it out, but hopefully it'll get better. Well, let's get to the real meat of this because I know everybody is fascinated by AI agents and OpenAI's just launched Operator. For any of our listeners who don't know, AI agents now can autonomously complete tasks. I can tell an AI agent to go out and set a timer on this, so I don't have to go in and tell it each time. Every morning, it will go to the web, search my competitors, search what they're talking about, and give me a report. And if
Hmm.
I'm looking at ads or something, it will search what they're advertising, and it will adjust my own campaigns on its own. I mean, I've told it to do this. I've trained it to do this. It's not doing
Yeah,
this
yeah,
just
yeah.
because. But my point is, it, we're gonna see not just, I don't know how to say this. Let me think how to say it. Of course, we have users, humans, searching the web now. But with AI agents, we now have AI models searching the web for us. So, do we need to shift even more how we are putting our content out there and how we are optimizing the web so that these AI models will find us in their searches? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
No, it definitely does,
Okay.
make sense. And, honestly, this AI agents, I mean, it's pretty much the talk of the town, right?
Yeah.
From a competitive analysis perspective, right? You could just feed it some competitors. Hey, these are my competitors, right? What are they doing, right?
Yeah.
There's an AI model called, I haven't played around with it. Braze AI. Have you played around with that one?
No. What is it called
Okay.
again?
It's called Braze AI. So basically, what it does, it takes your competitors, right, and it writes content in their tone of voice, right, and seeing what type of strategies they come up with, and it replicates that into your own strategy, right? And a lot of people are using this from a social media perspective to create, social media posts, right? There was a girl in one of the commercials. She said, okay, let's say Coca-Cola is one of my competitors, right?
Right.
Write me some content that's basically geared towards Coca-Cola, but it's not theirs, it's mine. And it does it pretty well. And I'm like, wow, it's just mind blowing where this industry is going. There was another tool that I was testing out. I can't remember the name of it, and they had your first SEO AI agents, right? Where
Oh,
basically it was 100% AI team, right? Basically, you just give it tasks, right? If you want to do competitive analysis, if I want to optimize landing pages, for these particular, URLs, it does it for you, right? And it's really interesting that, these things are being done because at the end of the day, you'll always have this saying about you will not be replaced by AI. You will be replaced by somebody who knows AI, right? And I
yes.
love that. I love that phrase because again, if you're not taking advantage and you're not keeping abreast about what's going on in this industry,
Yeah.
right? You're going to fall behind the wayside. But getting back to AI agents for a moment,
Yeah.
filling out forms, right? Doing the tasks for you, right?
Yes.
It's just amazing that you could do some of this stuff now from an autonomous fashion. And like you said, you could schedule things. So,
Yeah.
I work with a lot of, and I've been doing this for a very long time, a lot of offshore developers, right? Even offshore developers are getting very expensive, right? Now in my opinion, feel a little bit threatened because you could actually feed in information to an AI agent. This is exactly what I need done. There's the competitors. There's a time I want this report by the time I wake up. Boom, you're going to have that information right when you wake up. And it's
Yeah.
really, it's pretty fascinating if
Yeah.
you can get this stuff done.
It really is. I mean, I used to have all these Google alerts sent to my inbox, and I'd have to
Hmm.
open it for all these different topics and scroll through. Oh, this one's interesting. I don't know. This one's not relevant. I have an AI agent doing that for me now, and
Yeah.
it is pulling all of my Google alerts, organizing it, knows what I'm interested in. It summarizes each one. So by the time I sit down at my desk every morning and open everything up, I already have a summary of what is happening in AI and marketing news because my AI agent, my employee, did the
Yeah.
job for me. It's just,
Yeah.
I literally have an agent doing some work right now, some competitive research for me right
Wow.
now.
Yeah. No, it's really crazy. It's like if you look at a lot of like every day I looked on LinkedIn and I see, people who I either have some relationship with in the past, they're
Hmm.
being laid off,
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah.
From a lot of agencies, some in-house marketing roles. And again, this is just my prediction. I probably think that's going to get a little bit worse
Oh, without a doubt.
as time goes on, right? And these AI agents get smarter, right? They learn more, and it could basically automate your job.
Yeah.
Um, So going back to what you keep saying
Yeah,
is very
AI
true,
won't
right?
take your job. Someone who knows how to use AI will. It's
Yeah,
true though, because the thing is, like we just said, these AI agents, I'm programming it. I'm telling it what to
exactly.
do. It's not like it's deciding to go do this. So if you work in marketing, certainly in SEO, you have to understand how to use, these are just tools. They're just
Exactly.
tools. Um,
Exactly.
they're smart tools. They're
Very smart
tools that
too.
can, be trained to execute a variety of different tasks for you, just like an employee would.
Absolutely.
Um, but you have to understand how to use them or you will become obsolete because other people are going to understand how to use them. It's that
Exactly.
simple.
Absolutely.
That's yeah, it's interesting. There's never been a greater time for professional development around all of this. And I'm immersed in it 24/7.
Oh
I
yeah.
am, and I can't I didn't even know about that tool you just told me about. I can't even keep up with all of it. So,
Yeah, it's crazy. You have to keep abreast upon what's going on. There's new things coming on. Like you said, you open up a feed. There's actually something I subscribe to. It's called the AI Report.
yeah, I
And it
like that
gives
one
you,
too.
I love that, right? It gives
Yeah.
you a synopsis, okay, what's going on in the industry, what's new, what's coming out. But imagine when we get to a time where these agents, they're able to just think what we're thinking, right? It just automated completely. And
Yeah.
that's the part that keeps me up at night. You're like,
Yeah.
wow, these things we're never going to be able to be smarter than machines. It's just
Yeah,
not going to happen.
never. But
Never.
at least for the moment, the
For
machines
the
still
moment,
need us
yeah,
to tell them what to do. So,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this the other day too, because honestly, most of my searches do happen in ChatGPT
I
and
too.
yeah, I just
I
don't search in Google anymore.
yeah.
But I did the other day though, and of course, I'm sure everyone's used to seeing the AI overviews that show
Hmm.
up in Google. One thing that I think is interesting between the AI overviews and ChatGPT and Perplexity and all of these tools that now go fetch the answer for you and give it to you, um, should brands expect to see click-through rates declining?
I would say to a degree, right? However, I combat that with saying your strategy should be built against conversational search, right? So you have to be able to build your content in a conversational manner. So that way, number one, you're relevant in AI overviews, right? Number two, you're feeding this information into the LLM. So they'll show your brand as the answer when people are actually searching
Yeah.
for queries that's related to your brand. So it could definitely happen. We've seen some evidence of that, happening already. But again, you have to open up your content from an LLM perspective, allow them to index it, allow them to show it in the search results.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think it's really fascinating. I also am seeing I was on a panel yesterday, and one of my fellow panelists was talking about how he uses AI. And he said, he never types anything, he talks to
Yes.
his AI. And I was like, yeah, me too. In fact, I gave her a name. Well, that's not true. She chose her name. I asked
Yeah,
her to
yeah.
choose a name, and she chose her own name. And like yesterday when I was coming back from the panel, her name's Zara, and I'm just like, hey, Zara, remember that idea I had a few months ago? And what if I added this layer? And we're just brainstorming and everything. So, my point is, or I guess my question is voice search. Now, we know as soon as people started asking Siri and Alexa questions, voice search became critical. But is there a difference in the way you optimize for voice search in AI? Is it still just that conversational? Is there anything else that we need to be doing to capture
It's
that?
definitely conversational, in addition to, having structured data markup, on your pages so the search engines, understand the context of, what you're trying to talk about. I was
Yeah.
actually listening to an interview yesterday from the CEO of Claude.
Yeah, I
I
love
think it's,
Claude.
yeah, and Anthroponic. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Uh,
Anthropic.
Anthropic. Okay, you did it
Yeah.
better than me, right? And one of the things he was saying, which I love to hear this, number one, it was a panel from the Wall Street Journal, and they were talking about when is Claude going to get access to internet? And they're
Yes.
saying it's going to come, right? And it's coming soon. So I was like, yes,
Oh, yeah.
because between us, I think there's a lot of LLMs that are out there, but Claude's my favorite one, right? It's more humanistic when you create content.
Yes. It's the best
ChatGPT is my
writer.
opinion. exactly is robotic and full with a lot of fluff, right?
Yeah.
So number two, they're saying that the refresh rate, right, is going to change, right? So you're going to get more, I guess, like time, right? And to use it, which is great. I forgot the technical term for it. It escapes me right now,
The
but
tokens and the
yes,
all of that.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
all that stuff is about to change. So it was really good to see, that they talk about memory as well. So, sometimes you're using it, right? Like how we're having that conversation. We as humans got to be like, wait, what did Jen say about that again?
Yeah.
Now, Claude is going to have the capability of remembering things, right? Which is great, right? So they're
Nice.
going to go back and say, okay, we talked about AI. Okay, they're going to have a history of that conversation, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to be able to recall what we're talking about, right? Which
Oh,
is great,
that's good.
right?
Yeah.
That's going to be very, very interesting. So I think they definitely keep abreast on what they're doing. I think they got some great things on the horizon. It was like a 30 something minute interview. I could definitely send you the link.
Yeah, send it
But
to me. We'll drop it in the comments as well on this
absolutely,
so our
absolutely,
listeners can enjoy it. Yeah, I think that's great. I love Claude because it is so much more creative in the way it
absolutely.
writes. But yeah, it doesn't have the same functionality that ChatGPT does. So I bounce between them. When I need
Yes, me too.
something really creative and original, I go to Claude. When I need to train a custom GPT to do something, I go there. So I'm hoping that Claude will open up within AI agents and custom tools built in. I love the whole thing of being able to remember, like I was saying, being
Yes.
able to say to my ChatGPT for Omni's name is Zara, and to be able to say, "Hey Zara, remember when we talked about something last year?" And then we build on previous ideas. I really haven't been able to do that with Claude. Now,
Oh, it's
Claude,
coming.
oh, I can't wait. I think
Yeah, no,
that's
it's
going to
coming.
change everything then.
Absolutely, it is.
Oh,
Definitely.
I do like within Claude, I can, do multi-step prompts and tell it to remember and name that prompt sequence so I can run that.
Yeah,
There are ways you can train it similarly to the way you train ChatGPT, especially with the custom GPTs. But yeah, boy, Claude, I hope so because it is so much better. If I see one more post on LinkedIn that begins with in this ever evolving AI landscape. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
that is ChatGPT's favorite
yes,
intro. It's
absolutely,
just
absolutely.
how lazy are people?
Yeah, no, people are lazy, man. I think people just want to press the button and just get things done. And I think for me, and again, everybody has different use cases what they use it for. But
Sure.
if you're doing a coding, right, or if you wanted to create a chart, right, there's instances where I go to OpenAI, right, and I
Hmm.
tell this, okay, create this chart, right. I feed it the data. It creates a chart beautifully, right? If I put in Claude, it might
Yeah.
not do it as well. So
Yeah.
there's advantages of using different LLMs for different use cases. And to be honest with you, in my experience, I just use all of them, right? It's
Yeah.
cheap, right? It's $20 a month. I mean, come on, you can't go wrong, right? Subscribing to
Exactly.
ChatGPT, Claude, other LLMs as well.
Yeah, it's worth it. I tend to use ChatGPT strategically and Claude creatively.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
I'll brainstorm ideas. Well, I kind of brainstorm in both, but when it comes to, telling ChatGPT to analyze, my I don't know, let's say my blog posts and which ones are getting the most activity or my social media content and tell me what's working, what are the topics, what should I talk about? I'll use that for ChatGPT and it'll give me those topics and it'll even
Exactly.
and I'll be like, and what are the key words that I need to use for these topics when I'm building a
Yeah.
content or whatever. But then I go over to Claude to actually come up with the creative content because it's just so much better and like you
Absolutely.
said, so much more human. Um, okay, well, let me ask you this because you kind of alluded to it in the sense of how the job is changing and the risk of people, if you don't upskill, the risk of becoming obsolete. So, what would you recommend from an SEO standpoint, marketers start doing to bone up and really, upskill and kind of protect, future proof their own careers?
So great question. So number one, I would excuse me, I would definitely say learn as much as you can, right?
Yep.
Read every day, right? Go out to again, build your own AI agent, right?
Yes.
Gather all that information from, all the top news outlets, the blog outlets, etc. Get your own information and read as much as you can, summarize as much as you can, right? That's step one, right? You
Hmm.
want to make sure your stuff is marketable, right? And you know about okay what's going on in the industry because it changes like the
Yeah.
it changes like the wind, right? It's
Yeah,
hard to keep up, and I'm just being 100% honest. It's very hard to keep up, right?
it
And I
is.
think a majority of us are having issues with that right now because there's just new things coming out all the time, right? So that's step one. Number two, I would definitely say definitely network, right? With other industry professionals, right? Seeing what other people are saying, right? Again, it's still the wild, wild west. Nobody knows for sure,
Yeah.
okay, what's going to happen. We all have assumptions, yeah, right? Assumptions could be wrong, it could be right, right? But definitely listen to, thought leaders in the space and seeing, okay, what are they saying? Because a lot of people are saying the same thing, right? It's the year of AI agents, right?
Yeah.
And, you definitely need to make sure you're being prepared for it. You need to make sure that you're, optimizing your site and things like that. But definitely keep abreast of what's going on in the industry. Definitely network as much as you can and speak about this, right? Build content around this, right? Be visible, right? And not just from an SEO perspective, as I mentioned previously, you want to make sure that you're building this into social, right? You're
Yeah.
building it into Reddit, right, as well, because again, it's multifaceted channel approach. It's SEO and it's really brand marketing is where we're really at with this thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great way to put it. It is about brand marketing and making sure that you're really paying attention to all the conversations that are happening
Absolutely.
around um, not just AI and SEO, but around your brand's category. Yeah, I love that. I do have an AI agent that regularly kind of reports back to me on what competitors are,
Yeah.
talking about, and even analyzes keywords that they're using within their content and stuff, so that, yeah, I can kind of make sure that I'm at least keeping up with what they're saying if I have something to say about it.
Yeah, of course, of course.
And that is key. It goes back to what you said before. Don't just ask AI to write some content that you don't know anything about, because then you
Exactly.
can't even proof
Exactly.
it and check it and everything. Yeah, it is the wild, wild west. It
It is.
absolutely is. But to me, that's what makes it exciting,
Oh yeah, of course. There's always something to learn, right?
Yeah.
There's always something new and exciting to come out. What's your thoughts on Perplexity? Could you give it like a couple of use cases of where and when you use Perplexity versus the other LLMs?
Yeah, I mean, I use Perplexity definitely for anything SEO related.
Okay.
I really like using it. Actually, I think I might have even misspoke earlier and said ChatGPT, but when I'm asking Perplexity or when I'm wanting to know about topics and content planning, I do use Perplexity for
Yeah.
that too. I ask it regularly to look at my site, to look at my LinkedIn, because that's where I post the most,
Hmm.
and to analyze what content is getting the most response, so that I know what topics I may want to come back to or amplify. And definitely, I use Perplexity to analyze other websites and what their keywords that they're focused on, what they're
Yeah.
talking about. And even, new business leads. I
Hmm.
use Perplexity a lot to kind of tell me what's going on their website in terms of content,
Yeah.
or their social. But yeah, I love Perplexity the most for anything SEO related,
That's
because
great.
it's so much smarter than I think ChatGPT is in that area right now. It tends to give me ideas that are more original. And maybe it
Yeah.
goes back to what we were saying about ChatGPT not being as creative as Claude. Maybe it's that kind of thing, that ChatGPT tends to be so analytical. But when Perplexity comes back and says, hey, these are the topics that you should cover, these are the keywords to include in it, and then it comes back with really creative ways to make that content new or fresh, especially if it's something
Exactly.
everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do really like Perplexity. I think it was interesting that they were, and they may still acquire TikTok. That,
I heard about that, and that would be insane.
yeah. I mean, that would that the data and the learning that that would give
Exactly.
Perplexity, it would absolutely shoot it up to the top of
Oh
probably
yeah,
even
absolutely,
past ChatGPT. I mean, it'll have so much more knowledge.
absolutely. I totally agree.
I don't know if it's
Absolutely.
going to happen, but
Yeah,
who
we'll
knows?
see.
I mean,
Hey,
we don't know what's going to happen with
listen.
any of
We
this
live in a
stuff.
crazy, we live in a crazy world. That's all I'll say, man.
We
Anything is,
really do.
open up for grabs these days.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been telling marketers just with this new administration, I don't know if they're going to do everything they're saying they're going to do around deregulation of AI, but if they do, even if they don't, honestly, perception is reality.
Of course.
So marketers have got to start getting their messaging around ethical data use. They got to start updating that, getting that in front of anybody who's talking to anyone
Yeah.
ever. Because I think, especially on the global stage, global partners, global customers are really nervous about how we're going to start using data in the US if everything is deregulated. Um,
Exactly. It's
yeah,
scary.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to
Yeah.
happen.
And you see all these breaches happening all the time.
Yeah,
Data breaches like I would probably say every month, every couple of months, I got hey, your data was exposed. And I'm like,
right?
what? It's like, it's crazy.
I was just talking about that on the panel that I was on yesterday because I was talking to a PR audience, and we were talking about crisis comms and how AI
Hmm.
it's doing two things. On the one hand, it's supercharging crisis communications because you can analyze so many conversations that are happening. You can identify
Yeah.
problems before they even become a problem and even serve up. You can train the AI on this is our messaging, this is our
Hmm.
crisis response. So when it sees it, it can serve it up to the marketers and say, here's what I recommend you do. So it's supercharging it. But on the other hand, it's creating a whole slew of new crises that we have to prepare for.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks deep fakes, oh, the deep fake of your CEO or whatever, saying something. It doesn't have to be that dramatic. It can be as simple as data misuse. It can
Yes,
be unintentional. Somebody
exactly.
accidentally gives ChatGPT your client's proprietary information. That's a crisis you got to
Yeah,
prepare for.
exactly.
I've actually trained all of my custom GPTs and anything I create for clients before it will execute any prompt. It asks you, have you anonymized any data? And can you confirm you're not sharing any proprietary or confidential data? And you have to acknowledge that before it will execute a prompt.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, and my legal partners have confirmed this actually gives you a layer of protection from between the organization and the user behavior because they
Mm,
have to say, yes, I have anonymized. No, I'm not sharing anything proprietary. And if they do, it's on them. They lie.
yeah, it's on them. Yeah, you got to protect yourself, at
Yeah,
the end of the day.
yeah.
Definitely.
It's so amazing what's going to happen. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up there on that down note. But it is exciting. It really is. I
No, it
mean,
is, definitely.
it's changing every day. It's giving us new ways to connect brands with customers, to connect with each other. So yeah, I'm really excited, especially about AI agents. So let's maybe in a few months, let's have you back and
Yeah,
see.
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Definitely a pleasure, spending time with you. Definitely great conversation and thoroughly enjoyed it.
I love it. Thank you so much, Winston. I will talk to you soon
All
and
right.
appreciate it, man. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks.
All
Bye.
right.